Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Paper Dungeon.
Welcome, everybody.
This is a bit of a weird day to stream. We know it's the holiday season. You know, people are traveling, people are sick. We're doing our best to make it work, and we're happy to see you here on this off day. Let's do some introductions real quick. We don't have everyone here that we normally do, so I'm just going to start to my right at the one who is not looking at me. Drew, could you please tell us who you are? Tell us who you play.
Hello, friends. I am Drew. I play Talith, the not human wizard, but still yet to actually be said, so I'm going to hold on to it as long as I can, who is a real weird boy, but kind of wholesome, question mark?
Yes, the inhuman, but very humane. Next up, we're going to have Jar Jar. Could you please tell us who you are? Tell us who you play.
Well, hi, I'm Jar Jar. I play Medora, the druid. Still some secrets about her that hopefully over time will be revealed.
Yo.
Hopefully. Very mysterious. Last but certainly not least, the one who I've probably known for the longest, Grant. Could you please tell us who you are? Tell us who you play.
Hello, my name's Grant. I play Leslie, the also seemingly human in the group, but people know that he's actually a shifter, and he turns into a lion sometimes, and he is a ranger.
Fantastic. Now, Grant, we've now started this tradition as of the previous episode. We're going to continue it today. What fun fact do you have for us today?
The fun fact that I have for you today is that today is the winter solstice.
Ooh.
I don't know if you all knew that, but I knew that. So today,
actually?
from here on out, the days will be getting longer. And for our friends in the Southern Hemisphere, days will start getting shorter. So there you go. Also,
Shout
that
out.
train is coming from me.
Yeah,
Shout out the
it's
train.
coming from us.
Oh, my word.
Yeah, shout out to the hemispheres. We want to cover a quick a quick content warning beforehand, just to cover our bases. This story does include some adult themes. We will do our best to provide content warnings ahead of time, but this is an improv show, so sometimes things come up, sometimes things that I didn't know they would be reaching will be reached. So be mature. We're excited to have you, and we hope that you have a good time. I'm ready to get going. So, Drew, I guess roll the clip. Last time on the Paper Dungeon, our group decided to investigate the person that Addie happened to absolutely knock out, and found out that he was the adopted son of a Mr. Matvey, a Caven Matvey. They decided to look a little bit deeper into the Matvey family, and went back to talk to Garwick the Destroyer, who said that he could give them some information, and sure enough, give them information he did. They also inquired about any of Matvey's associates, so that way they could get a little bit more information about him from inside sources without going directly to the Matveys. And they were informed of a certain Ferdo Langley. Together, they decided to infiltrate the Langley Manor, make their way into his room, and pull out whatever secrets they could using their various tactics and tools. They proceeded to do that. They headed to the top. There was a brief altercation with one of the guards who appeared to be almost a mind-controlled young girl who attempted to stab, I almost said Leslie. Wrong one. Who attempted to stab Talith, but was stopped by Addie. Talith, in kind of a bit of rage, managed to pull out information both from the guard and from Mr. Langley, with unknown results, unknown consequences as of yet. In the meanwhile, Medora managed to infiltrate into the mansion, kind of on a spur of a moment deal, steal some documents, steal a mysterious silver liquid, and then they all escaped, bringing the guard with them. As they ran away, Addie decided to split off on her own to bring the girl somewhere safe, somewhere that she would be kind of out of the way. And then the rest of them returned to the inn, which is where we are now. You guys are just walking back to the tail's end. The door is open, but the lights are down. There is someone at the counter, but no one in specific, like in the dining room. It is pretty early in the morning, so it's pretty much just for safety's sake.
Nice.
I'd like to think that the three of us can maybe get a table afterwards and do a bit of an evaluation, do a bit of a debrief.
Absolutely. The tables and booths are free. You fall into one that is another one of those little columns of darkness that lets you do
Another
your shady
column.
business.
Check that off the bingo.
Yeah.
Column of darkness in the corner.
I'm having so much trouble remembering Talith's name tonight, and I apologize severely.
No, that's
You
okay.
can call him Big T if that's easier.
No.
Or
You mentioned-
Dan, right?
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Danny boy. Mr. T.
Well, I'll say this. Danny is better than Dan. I can't do Dan because that just makes me think of my Uncle Dan.
Well,
Uncle
Mr.
Dan?
T, you had mentioned to me out of game that you had something that you wanted to do real quick at the start here.
Yeah.
What was it?
Yeah, so as we kind of enter into the inn, and I imagine all of us kind of like moving pretty quickly, we kind of like get in and shut the door quickly behind us, and like kind of like not sure, like
Yeah,
okay,
take a deep breath.
in theory nobody knows what we just were a part of. We should be fine. Just act natural. He's like thinking all this in his head to himself, and he will, as the other two grab a table in the dark corner and in the column of shadow, Talith is actually going to make his way over to the wanted board, and he's going to try and do like a full scan of like all of the wanted posters that are there, and even maybe some that are like not like up on the board, but like maybe in like a booklet right next to it or whatever. And he's going to try and see. He's specifically looking to see if he can't find the wanted poster for the hero killer.
Yeah, absolutely. This is not a hard task. I won't have you roll for this. You are able to locate. This is one of the newer posters. The hero killer is an up and coming wanted figure by pretty much everyone. They have no description of who it is. They know that the hero killer or the star killer is what they've been calling her, is a her. They have had knowledge clerics on the job that can pull up kind of images of what has happened in the past in certain locations, but they aren't able to get a clear like face or image of who the killer is. But they are able to tell that it is a feminine figure. There are stories that people have gotten from eyewitnesses that would claim that this person was seen with a woman recently. Currently, she has killed 3 to 4 relatively prominent heroes over the past couple of years, 2 to 3 years. The first and probably most notable is the Silver Knight. That was the first one that she killed. And it was only recently uncovered that it was most likely the same kind of unsub as the remaining 3.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so he'll kind of jot down a couple notes and like and take one of the copies of the wanted poster, because I assume there's multiple, and just kind of stuff it in his bag before joining the others. Yeah.
Fantastic. You all sit down at the table together, kind of take a couple breaths. You have all gathered various amounts of information. I will assume that, is there anything that is being withheld from other people in this situation? Mainly Medora and Talith are the ones with new information here.
Well,
I
Leslie
will
has
keep
information
the
too.
syringe of Quicksilver to myself, or
Oh, you're
Quicksilver.
gonna keep that.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it to
Okay.
myself, for my own personal purposes.
Mysterious.
Ooh, that's good to know.
That hurts me
I think
greatly.
assumed once we get there, I think
I was gonna use
Leslie. I think Leslie will like wave over a few rounds, maybe gets everybody like some ale or whatever is typical. Talith, I'm glad you could join us. I gotta say, that was fun. I hadn't done something like that in a long time, and seeing what you guys were capable of out there, keeping an eye on it, and seeing how smooth everything went. Talith, you did fantastic, telling everybody what their role would be. And Medora, you were in there and out, and you got to see some things and grab some evidence that without, we probably wouldn't be able to really make a strong case. And I know that not the everyday person is capable of those kinds of things. I've seen you two do some wacky things in the past, especially you. He points at Talith. But I can't help but ask, how did you two learn what you did? How do you have these abilities? It's incredible.
Tom kind of looks to Medora to see if she's gonna answer first or not, and then seeing that she's like kind of hesitant too, he's like,
You know what, Talith? Don't worry, I'll go first. I can see by the shiver in your face, it's gonna be fine. Let's just say I get my traits from my mama. She was very sweet, helped me grow up. My circumstances coming into their life was not the best. They made me go from unwanted to desired, and that's all that matters to me. Doesn't matter how I got these spells, how I can do the stuff that comes up my fingers, not my eyes, but it's the sacrifices I'm willing to make to do that for people and get stuff done. Mm-hmm.
Wow, and what brought you to? Yeah, I know. I'm realizing that I might be overstepping here a little bit, but we've known each other for some time now, and it seems like that might not be the first thing we do together. So, forgive me if this is a little bit of an overstep, but what brought you to Nico Muris?
Let's just say the place that I thought I was going to call home is no longer there.
Oh my, I'm sorry to hear that.
It's all right. I still got things to remember them by. But when a door closes, a window opens. And what I had to do is I had to jump out and run.
I understand
not
that
to
a little
go
bit.
further into that, though. It's still quite fresh
Of
on the
course,
heart
I
and soul.
completely understand. That is more than enough. I appreciate that. It's
No
just
worries.
nice being able to have an idea of who I'm working with here.
Yeah, no worries. Y'all have earned the trust from me at this point. Not a lot, as you all are still strangers to
bit.
me. And with some of the trials that I've had to gone through, the ale's hitting already. The trials that I had to go through is really hard for me to trust men, let alone strangers that I had to
I can
hop
understand that.
onto a train with. And I'm trying to like lighten the mood. It's like, and one that took more of the spores than he should have.
Yeah, and not to mention that clock guy that thrust us all together. That's a
That
little
was quite
suspicious.
crazy.
Speaking of whack, sorry, that might be a little bit insensitive. Let's start with Talith. You have some strategy, right? I feel that there's a story behind your abilities and the fact that you're also like sometimes really powerful. I guess I could put that like on the dream train. However, you seem like you have your wits about you, and you know exactly kind of how to go about those missions. How'd you get that kind of experience? I know that doesn't come from books.
Right. Well, it's kind of a long story, to be honest. It's not stuff that I've acquired just in one place. I'm well traveled, as it were. When it comes to my magics, I've always been pretty gifted at the arcane ever since I was a young boy. When it comes to the rest of rest of it, it just comes from experience, really. Been on the run for a little over 3 years now, so you'll pick up a few things here and there.
Sure, you do. That makes sense.
It is,
It's really tough not to pry.
no, I understand, being one that I also like to be in the know. I just also tend to like my own secrets. But if there's a specific question that one of you two had in mind, I might be willing to oblige.
Well, the
How
one
about- how about-
thing. Sorry
Go
to
ahead,
sorry to
Midor.
cut you
No.
off, Leslie, but
No, please.
but I've been looking at our travels, and I know that the little snake you appreciate a lot, but you kind of treat the bird a little different, almost as if it's not yours to begin with. So, does that bird mean something to somebody else? Is it somebody close? So, sorry to keep on prying, but the way that you take care of that bird is almost like sibling appreciation, sibling love for that bird, to protect something valuable.
Yeah. Melody is not originally my familiar. As I briefly mentioned while we were at the manor. I'm gonna pull a Hannah. I'm gonna make a roll.
Ooh.
That's a throwback.
Interesting. Yes. She used to belong to my sister.
Used to. How's Melody? Is Melody here? Is Melody responding to any of this?
I would say so. At this moment, like Sirius is like like normal, like kind of wrapped around my neck, almost like a scarf, and Melody is just kind of chilling, like on the table, oddly, like not docile, but like the most kind of like just very chill that we've probably seen her. She's not like constantly flying around, jumping and chirping. She's just kind of very like attentive to what's being discussed, especially when the conversation kind of shifted more towards Talith. Thank you, Aaron, for the pantomiming.
You know what would improve this stream? I
What?
need like hand
Sock
puppets.
puppets? Yes.
We
I
could
need like
arrange that.
full Muppets. Like that would make the stream so much better.
Every NPC has its own
Yeah.
Muppet or sock
No, just the
puppet.
recurring ones. Like get one for the
Okay,
snake,
like
get one for
Father
the bird, get one
Time.
for the crocodile,
Mhm.
get one for all the familiars.
Yeah.
They're just little sock
That's a great
puppets that
idea.
I just pull out whenever they're mentioned. I think it would be a fantastic. It would increase this stream's quality
I
tenfold.
kind of like that idea.
100%.
We'll talk.
We'll talk about it.
Talk about budget.
Used to. You said used to. Why'd you inherit Melody?
When I went on the run, she wanted me to take Melody that way. That way, she could take care of me.
Oh. It's your sister's way of keeping an eye on you.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um.
You
That
said
must
it's
be
been
nice.
3 years.
It's
a long time.
Yeah, just over 3 years at this point.
Sounds like you both are missing home a little bit, maybe.
You could say
Depends on what you think home is, you know. There, I mean, if I think of, you know, childhood, maybe, but my home I can't go back to.
Yeah, well,
And that's why I knew how you felt coming back here, Leslie. Where it feels like you have no sense of belonging there. It doesn't feel right to be there because again, we don't know what time frame this is. I'm still trying to figure it out, grapple it. A little not too keen up here, but where we know what's already happened for us and just trying to realize, do these people still have that same negative feeling for us? Do they still have that resentment? Do they still have that anger? Do they still have that kindness for us? And so I know I was a little bit drunk on that orange blossom tequila when I was talking to you about that, but my words were true.
yeah, and I do think they add some truth to them. I think I also owe you two a bit of an explanation.
Please do tell.
I was gonna actually. I did have a question, and Leslie, this probably leads
Please.
into what you might be willing to discuss. I'm curious as to like what you guys are actually being hunted for. Leslie, it's kind of obvious at this point. Midori, I mean, you don't have to share if you don't want to. I mean, you already have shared quite a lot, so you don't have to by any means. But again, I also like to be in the know on certain things. The biggest thing being that the fact that we're all wanted by, all of the Modrons, and so constantly on the run and in a life of danger, and it's good to know what kind of danger you surround yourself with.
I agree. Look, I can definitely clear up my side of things quick. And I think it's time that you guys know why this is a bit complicated. You see, I lived on a moon here in the system, and it was peaceful, actually. We were self-sufficient. We took care of the environment. In fact, that was my main job. And then when the main planet started industrializing, I guess you could say, they started looking to the moons for supplies, for resources. But that's the thing with moons, is they're fragile. They're small ecosystems. They must be kept in balance. So it was only a matter of time until, well, either our homes were destroyed or we defended them. And unfortunately, the defense didn't quite work. And I was the face of that movement. And so you can imagine the things that you mentioned, resentment and failure and shame and whatever else. Unfortunately, a lot of those things lie with me. And coming back here, hearing people talk of the rebellion, well, I just don't think that's reasonable. And every time I think of it, it's a reminder of my failure. And so that's what the Modrons are after me for, because I went against the way of things. And as you guys know, people think I'm dead. And so keeping my name and location discreet is very important to me. Not just because of my personal feelings about it, but also because my life might depend on it. So that's why the Modrons are after me. Yeah, for the most part.
Fair enough.
Well, now that that's out in the air, Medora,
It's quite hard to describe why they're after me. And while she's like trying to prepare to like get her thoughts together, you can kind of tell she has conflicting emotions of anger and almost as if the look of defeat coexisting at the same time inside of her face. Like it just shows, but it's unclear which one is topping against the other one. I'm not even sure why this man thought about doing this. But basically, to sum it up, there was a man that I truly loved. Helped me learn that there's a life worth living. And he was taken away from me by another who thought he could win me over with money, with fancy things, with being the best that he could be, without knowing my past. And because I gave him rejection, he thought it would be payback to make me a criminal. Unsure how he did it, unsure of why. I won't go into further details as that horrible situation that's occurred is still too fresh. And while she's like trying to describe this, you can tell she's trying to hold back tears, but there's still one or two that shed. And they almost kind of shine like, almost like oil in a sense, like black oil. And kind of stain her face. And she's like, don't know why I still keep running. Sometimes I wish I just stopped dead in my tracks, let them take me and just live my days out in a cage. Because sometimes I just think that's all I got left. Because he took everything from me.
I'm so sorry that sounds. How do you go on? Losing everything like that. I guess it's one day at a time. And you said it was not too long ago. Well, maybe there's some rhyme or reason to us being brought together. I've been alone too, you know. Just me and my horse, Bessie. And it does get old being alone sometimes.
For me, it's hard to listen to people being like, oh, I wish I could have just like stepped back from helping a revolution to helping this person. I feel that I failed the person that meant everything to me because I decided to be a coward and hide and not help. Knowing that most likely the extra punch that I could have thrown, I keep telling myself that if I could have just done something, even if I died with him, that's an extra step to something. And you, Leslie, you've helped still continue something on this moon. The fact that they still think there's no way. There's no way like it's over. That is the kind of emotion, passion, determination that I wish I had before I saw everything get taken from me in front of my eyes.
I guess what you're trying to say maybe is, I guess there's still a chance while it's here.
Right on the money. Right on the money, pal.
You know, I thought it was gone. I thought there was never going to be another chance. So I'd accepted that. Well, it feels hard to really know what or how to do any of it. And the fear of letting everyone down, it's crippling me, but I guess it's maybe worth thinking about again.
And now this time you got some extra folks that will be there to help. And I like turned like kind of slowly to Talith, like, right, Talith? Right?
Well, I mean, look,
Right?
I'm not one to call myself a saint by any means. I'm not one for charity work, if I'm being 100% honest. Like,
You'd get something out of it. You'd get something. We'd figure something out.
yeah,
Maybe
I
take a few
have
things.
immense respect for those who want to do good out of the goodness of their hearts. Not quite my thing, but I'm always, if there's something in it for me, I'm always willing to lend a helping hand. And if I'm being entirely honest, it's not all that hard to persuade me sometimes. So.
And you know,
All
Addie
that to
just
say,
like seeing,
Leslie, yes, I would be willing to help if you decided to jump back in some fashion into this crazy world of rebellion.
Attaboy. I just like, I hold up my heels like, attaboy.
Now, speaking of doing things, we have a lot of evidence, or maybe evidence that we collected. What do we take of all of this stuff? Like, I mean, Addie and I were able to, I was able to see a lot of things that would be pretty damning evidence if I had a way to show it to other people. Leslie, Medora, did you pick up anything while we were there? Anything of note or of imports that might be helpful for us to at least get the authorities to look into these two people and all their kind of really shady stuff they've been doing?
all I got is the name of a fertilizer company that delivers at night mysteriously at 3 a.m. That's all I got.
Wow. What's the name of the company? What's the name of it?
It had a buzzard on it. I don't remember the name. Grant doesn't remember the name.
Well, while she's like looking, when she hears that, she'll like go into like her
stack of documents.
I'm trying to think of where she'd pull it from. I guess like in her pocket. It's a big pocket.
Yeah.
Her dress
You got
pocket.
a fanny pack.
Yeah. But like a piece of folded papers. I like. Can I do? Would it be investigation?
If you would like to search through these documents, if you like kind of have everyone search through them, you can roll an investigation check with advantage.
Are y'all willing to help me look through these papers? Because that name sounds familiar, and I want to see. I think I saw something with the things of paper that I grabbed.
Do you want me to do it, or do you want to do it?
If you can just like, if you're technically helping me, I'd get like advantage.
Well, I know. I'm just saying, like you could give me advantage because I have a +7 to investigation. But if that's not an option,
Medora, you roll that investigation check with advantage.
you got it. You got it, Queen.
Thanks, DM.
Nope.
Also, I learned
we ain't playing this game.
I'm just checking. I'm just checking.
It's specifically Matt Vey's company that is the fertilizer company, but I didn't get a name. I just know it's that.
Yes.
15.
You note a lot of things. A lot of the documents that you have are distribution contracts and like a bill of sales for goods and services. You do know that the buzzard is the like symbol of House Matvey. Like that is their like regalia, basically. I think that's the wrong term, but it's the one I'm going to use. Legally, you also note that Matvey does not have a fertilizer company. But there is record of him basically selling fertilizer to the Langleys, which strikes you as strange.
Oh, weird.
Yes. The other thing that you note, and you note this more yourself because you know of the like vial of quick steel. There is basically an order of sale for a bunch of alchemical and chemical reagents that most of which are listed. You do know that they were importing quick steel from the main planet of Ouroboros. There is also a regent just labeled as divinity, which is strange. You don't know what that would entail. It also does not note who the supplier of said divinity is. But those are the main things with a 15 that you pull out of that document.
So the divinity was like marked as if it was a place.
No, it's marked as though it is a like a chemical or a substance, something that they had purchased. But the supplier of that is not noted.
And all of this is found within the documents, so we
Yes.
all like know that. We just don't know that Medora is in possession of quick steel.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. This is acceptable.
Yeah. You could also probably find a fair amount of like general scummy like tax evasion. Like if you want to Al Capone them, you could Al Capone them. Yeah, get them on the taxes. They never see the taxes coming. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay.
I have a question actually, real quick, before we hop back into it. Is there anything like tying Matvey specifically to the children mind control situation?
In the documents, it is not listed like a bill of sale for like child soldiers. No,
Like, and there aren't
Yeah,
any,
okay,
and there
well,
and there
yeah,
isn't
that
any
makes
sort of like
sense.
documentation for like the
no,
experiments.
not that Langley would possess.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
And there was who
Just a
had
lot-
the
just basically
dream
just-
of the.
Just a lot of shady business.
Yes,
stuff,
a lot of shady business stuff. You think that Langley was more of a chemist? You would know you won't even need to roll a history check for this. Specifically, Leslie would know that Langley was a semi-well-known like scientist. Like that's where his fortune came from. You know why he's rich is that he had put a fair amount of effort into various like chemist science stuff.
Okay.
So that's what you're getting from this.
Grant, does Leslie ask about anything tying to Matvey? Because you were asking about the dream stuff, which is what I had.
You know, all I can see here is that Matvey is selling fertilizer to the Langleys, but Matvey doesn't have a fertilizer company, which is pretty particular, especially if it's being delivered at 3 a.m. of all times. That's pretty weird. Other than that, I don't really see much connecting Matvey to Langley.
Well, so something that Addie and I encountered. Yeah, I don't know how closely you guys noticed when Addie was walking away with the child, but that child actually was guarding Langley and his wife. However, it seemed that there's some sort of experimentation that she experienced based on these notes, possibly using some quick steel. when she attacked me, and Addie stopped her, we both noticed that her eyes seemed to almost have liquid quicksteel in it. And through some of my own magics, I was able to gather some information both from this little girl and from Langley himself that the two of them, Langley and Matvey, are closely associated with each other and have been conducting many experiments on children to create these child soldiers, basically.
Really?
However, this is one challenge that we might have to try and overcome. I don't know if either of you two have any knowledge or connections that might allow for this, but he pulls out one of the memory beads, specifically the memory bead that he got from Langley.
Mm-hmm.
Is he about to light a doobie in here?
No, but he does just hold it up, and he says, "This has all the evidence that we need to prove that Langley and Matvey are not only connected directly with each other, but they are doing children experimentation and kidnapping. We just need a way to have other people see it."
Oh, there's no way for others to see it.
Not that I currently possess. There are magics that could, in theory, allow for it, but none that I currently am aware of and or currently have the capacity to use. But if we
can hang on to it.
If we could get a device, if we could get a device of some kind, I'm sure that we could find something that could read this. And this would be, combined with these documents, pretty damning evidence for both Langley and Matvey.
DM.
Yeah.
Leslie would like to do his best to recall the voice of Matvey. Because earlier, Leslie noticed a tattoo that Matvey had, and he
that was not
recognized.
Matvey, by the way.
That was his butler.
That was his butler.
Oh,
Harold.
Oh,
Good old Harold.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's good. That's very good for us. That's much better than Matt Vabing, who I thought he might be. I would still like to try to think back to that voice and see if I could maybe place that individual. And it was a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
A long time ago. But long ago.
Yeah. If
on a moon,
roll,
not so far away.
If you'd like to roll a history check for me.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
With advantage.
Nice.
Ooh, nice. Okay. History check. That is a 14.
It has been a very, very long time since you have heard this voice. You know that you recognize it. It's hard for you to pull an exact face to mind. If you got a clearer look at him in the reflection of the blade, or if you had met eyes with him, you think that you'd know for sure. But he does sound, his voice reminds you very much of an old comrade you had before the war, specifically one of the few members of the Pruners.
And do you think, by you, I mean me, Leslie, do I think that this person would still be trustworthy?
Oh, man, that's a great question. You would have no real way of knowing. You would have to talk more and try to figure out kind of what their thoughts are on the situation. You know that the man that he was would be.
Okay, fantastic. That's really what I was looking for. That's good. But the war complicates things. You know, there's been other people who surprised me.
You also you don't know why he would be here.
Yeah, it is very strange.
If he was still a member of the Pruners, he would still be on Le.
Yeah, especially if he's like wealthy and working with this guy that's doing shady stuff. That's, all right. I think there might be someone we could talk to. Just to ask a few questions. We'd have to be smart about it because we don't want them to be on to us, but I could shed some more light on this thing if we felt we could need it. Do you remember Harold, the butler?
The butler, yeah.
A butler.
He seemed friendly enough.
He seemed
Oh,
suspicious.
he was the butler with the really weird dude that Addie absolutely knocked out.
Right. I
He
mean,
did kind of seem weird.
yeah, he's a little weird. But I have reason to believe he might be willing to shed some details. Maybe. Or either that,
you think he'd be willing to talk to us?
Maybe. I mean, it's possible that he doesn't even know what's going on, to be honest.
Well, either he doesn't know what's going on, in which case he's not no help to us, or he does know what's going on and is okay with child kidnapping, trafficking, and experimentation into making child soldiers, in which case he's an enemy to our current situation.
You make a good
Both are
point.
bad. Both are bad.
You make a good point.
And on now there is a third limb where maybe, just maybe, he's just trying to play his cards right and keep close until the right opportunity presents itself. But that's a pretty big maybe.
What if I said there was room to believe that this individual might be aligned with the rebellion?
That's a pretty hefty
Do you know Harold?
inquiry.
Once upon a time, maybe. We kissed once or twice in the twilight moon. I'm just kidding.
Unless.
I'm just kidding. You know how I mentioned that on my old home, we used to keep the nature in balance? Well, he was someone who helped with that, believe it or not.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, we go way back. I don't know him that well, but I at least knew that he was trustworthy at the time.
And Leslie, just to make sure I'm following correctly, are you thinking that he might have like just some general information about the situation? Or you think like he might help us figure out the best way to like use this the evidence that we already have to like
let me explain what I'm thinking. Things like this, there's always more going on than what meets the eye. That's what I've decided to believe. If he happens to be aligned with a rebellion, then he happens to be very close to a very powerful individual who is doing very shady things. And he would happen to probably know a lot more than what we've seen. So although it might be a risk, it's also a gamble.
I'm sorry, did you just say even though it might be a risk, it could be a gamble?
Yeah, like there's a liability, but you might hit the jackpot.
So it's a gamble. That's just what a gamble is.
Yeah.
Gambles have risk. That's why it's a gamble.
Let me put it another way. We might strike out or we'll hit a home run.
I don't know what this thing is that you're referencing.
Your home world is the only place that plays baseball. And it's called like stickball or something.
Mm-hmm. I could put it other ways.
No, you got the
if that'd be helpful.
No, it's okay. Also, I just now remembered that Leslie is in a disguise right now.
Yes.
Yeah,
with his mutton chops and like big nose and a poncho with a cowboy hat and a puffy, Master Chief underneath.
Down his
in the
neck.
role of Johnny Gash.
Johnny Gash.
Gash.
Oh, I love Johnny Gash. His
we all?
Alias, his persona.
I mean, I'm not opposed to going and talking with this Harold. We just need to be extra careful because depending on how much we let on of what we do or do not know, he might just either choose to help us or instantly stab us.
And there is another aspect to this, which I just now realized, which is if he finds out who I am and he's not in line with the rebellion, that's going to be real bad for me and probably lots of folks.
Yeah, that would be really awkward.
So I'll ask the question again, and you see a glint in Leslie's eye. Do we take the chance?
I just looked at Medora. Well, I'll say this. I'm not opposed. I'm not opposed to taking a risk, as long as all three of us are willing to admit that it's a risk and that we might have to fight for our lives to stay alive.
Tuesday.
Fair.
Did you just say Tuesday?
Yeah, bro. Welcome to Tuesday.
Yeah, it's just another Tuesday. It's just another Tuesday for three fugitives on the run from the government.
I see. It's true.
Okay. Well, either way, I think we need to get some rest. I don't know about you as I look at my non-existent watch. But it is quite late, and there's still some work that I need to compile and work on before we do more stuff tomorrow. Medora, do you mind if I take a minute and copy down a few of those notes?
Oh yeah, for sure. Take your time.
Okay, great, thank you. And he'll just start scribbling away in his notebook.
I keep an eye on him, trying to make sure his hands don't go into my pockets.
Talith, known thief. Is it? Am I reading this right? As y'all are heading to bed for the night?
I believe so, DM.
Okay.
Leslie
you guys
is.
Retire to your rooms. Just one last double check. Is there anything that you guys would like to do before you wake up the next morning? Hopefully.
I mean, I'm just gonna do more Arcana experiments in my room.
Yeah. You do your Arcana stuff. Medora.
Can I? How do this would be more medicine or more? I guess can I do a medicine check with the quick steal?
Absolutely. Please roll a medicine check.
Okay. And what I'm trying to do is seeing if I could maybe figure out what its main, I want to say attributes are, or like its main use of some sort. And I am proficient in medicine.
Mm-hmm.
My brain is absolutely melting. 23.
That's a high number. So your capabilities of looking through this are, it's pretty slapstick at the moment. You've got like a pretty makeshift a chemistry set that you've got set up, kind of looking through stuff. On base appearance, the things that you notice just looking at the vial, you can see it bears a lot of similarities to mercury. It is a little bit duller of a silver, more steel gray. More importantly is you notice that there is something mixed in with this vial. There's every once in a while when you swirl it around, you see almost like wispy veins of a darker blackish liquid that has kind of this Schlieren effect. It almost catches the light and it has a rainbow effect, kind of like when you look at a highway and it like the sun is hitting it and it gives that kind of wavery rainbow effect on it. That's the Schlieren effect. Fun fact. And you're not exactly sure what that substance is. The other thing that you notice is when you tilt it, there are no remnants of liquid on the side of the glass. It is fully contained, kind of like a moving substance of itself. It also doesn't seem to be affected by friction. There's no slowdown when you pour it. There's no wind resistance. There's no heat that is generated by it moving. You're not exactly sure why that's the case or what could really be done with it, but that's just a fun thing that you know. You do think that it has the capability of being hardened into like a solid structure, although you're not sure of the way that you would do that medicinally. It does not look like it would have any health benefits, but you think that much like mercury, it could be, it would probably assimilate into the body pretty easily in the form of like heavy metal poisoning. Same that lead would, same that mercury does, where it kind of seeps into your skin through the muscle and bone, and eventually just like throughout your entire body. It could be very lethal in large doses. It is certainly not good to get on your hands just in any real recompense. You're especially not sure what it would do with whatever that substance is mixed in with it.
Noted.
Have I answered your questions well enough for now, or is there anything else you were looking for specifically? Because I can't think of anything else more that I can tell you. So I really hope that the answer is yes.
Valid. It's all good.
Okay. If that's the case, you all head to bed. Right now, you're split into 2 different rooms. You have one for Medora and Addie, one for Leslie and Talith.
Oh, poor Leslie.
Mhm.
Oh, interesting. What will Leslie be subjected to this evening? I'm asking you.
Oh,
I
you're
want to know.
actually asking me? I mean,
Yes.
literally.
I mean, I could just pretend like Leslie doesn't care and goes to bed anyways.
Well,
But
okay.
I feel like there's gonna be some hoo-ha going on in
Well,
here.
so here's the thing. Like, Talith wouldn't he wouldn't try to bother Leslie at all if they're sharing a room.
Yeah.
But like for a couple hours, like Talith is like talking to himself, pacing around the room, pulling out strange arcane, components, like writing a bunch of sigils on pieces of paper and spraying them all over the room. He's like grabbing sheets and looking at them, like kind of like turning them one way and then turning the other way and be like, no, that doesn't make any sense. And he sets it back down and he like grabs another piece of paper and scribbles a bunch of stuff into it. And it's just slight, what appears to you as slight mad chaos as and like occasionally like there's flashes of light and arcane energy and like occasional small amount of like smoke and stuff, or like a strange like ringing in your ear. All sorts
It's
of fun
basically
stuff.
like when you're in college and your roommate is playing like Black Ops until like 5 in the morning, and you're like,
And at some point, it's just like
class at 8. Jesus Christ, just go
it's
to bed.
unintelligible noise.
Yeah.
At some point,
And he's no headphones, just like full stereo sound. Just like, come on.
Leslie will note that in his brain, and he'll pretend like it does not bother him. He's been around many interesting
Absolutely.
sorts of people. He's worked closely with many interesting sorts of people. So he's, it's kind of bringing him back a little bit. It's kind of like, the good old days. Exactly. Yeah, Leslie will remember this.
You all awake in the morning. Unbeknownst to you, others are woken by the sound of a scream from the Manor Langley.
Oh no.
There is a hustle and bustle throughout the streets as soldiers and guards are moving. All of this out of your current awareness as you wake up. The sun is out. There is a fresh breeze in the air that carries the smell of rain.
Leslie, when you wake up, Talith is already awake. So you don't know when he went to sleep and when he woke up, but he is awake. And like not full blown experimenting right now, but is like at like the whatever table or desk is in the room and has like 3 tomes open. And like is like feverishly taking notes and like checking papers and flipping through pages, and like Melody is like just sitting like on his head while Sirius is like coiled up on the table, kind of still snoozing just a little bit, like between some of the books.
Good morning. You're a bit of an early riser.
I never went to bed.
You stayed up all night?
I don't sleep much.
Wow. That's incredible.
Did you sleep all right? You seemed to toss and turn a little bit. I would say I was growing concerned, but I don't think we're
Well,
quite there yet.
You know, I have dreams that sometimes wake me up, so it's probably pretty normal for me tossing and turning, but I'm pretty used to it by now. It just, once I get my coffee, then I'm ready to go. Don't talk to me until I have my coffee. That's what I always say.
I see. Well, there's some right there on the table if you want it.
Oh, yes, please. just like go.
It makes the Minecraft consume noise.
Oh, the bottle noise of
Grant, Mojang, get on this. Hire this man.
Get him on sound effects.
Leslie has his coffee, and yeah, he'll rally, I guess.
Yeah, I
Get
assume
Talith out of there.
collectively, you guys go through your morning routines.
I have a plan.
I lace up my 20 laces in my boots.
Yeah, those boots.
The knee-high Converse.
Yeah,
That Talith definitely is wearing. All right, once they're all together, unless Medora, you have anything before we're all like together in the same spot.
Oh, Drew's already raising his hand.
He's already got his hand up.
Sorry.
I know probably the morning I have made, since I used one of my 2 straw dolls, I was making another one to put in my arsenal.
Oh.
Still kind of looking at the
Nice.
quick still now that it's during the day, still trying to look with all the attributes he still told me, still looking and being trying to look at it in the sun.
If you would like to
that.
make another check, this time using, let's have you use your wisdom. A wisdom medicine check. So since you're proficient in medicine, add your proficiency, but use your wisdom modifier instead of your intelligence.
Got it.
Medicine is just wisdom.
Oh, it is wisdom. I thought, why is it not an intelligence check?
Because
I guess where you have to learn medicine, so I guess it's it's in the past.
That's just a bunch of baloney.
I don't know.
From here on out, for the rest of the campaign, it can be intelligence if you'd like, DM. You are God.
I can ask for
You want a DM.
I mean, it
Man,
does
I'm out
feel
of
like one of those
practice,
things that actually,
it super should be intelligence, right? I don't go to church
mean,
and become a doctor.
I mean, I guess it's the difference between, it's probably it's the same difference between again, medicine that you learn from a book versus medicine you learn from practical experience.
I'd rather have someone who learned medicine at a college than someone who learned medicine in an alley.
I've just had a lot of broken arms that I fixed on my own, so I know how to do that now.
Anyway, Medora, what was your medicine check?
It is 12.
12. You do notice in the light it is easier for you to see, but you can't quite get a better look at it. Clinging to the edges of the bottle, there's almost a wispy ethereal substance that you should be able to put your finger on what it is, but you can't quite tell what exactly. It's almost like cobwebs are stuck to the outside of it. You can't brush them off. Running your hand through them doesn't do anything. And for the life of you, you can't. You know that you should know what this is, and you can't figure it out.
Okay, I'm trying to look at my notes.
Take a drink.
Because I
Taste it.
can't. I know I can't touch it, so I want to see. No, I'll just put the quick steel back into my pocket.
Pin in it.
Saying, you have a wizard who's also smart and helpful.
Don't get to my plan yet. Don't get to my plan yet. Okay, I'm cooking.
Okay. All right. My bad. I'll let her cook. I'll let the
We're
queen cook.
cooking with quick steel.
Do you guys leave your rooms, your respective rooms at all, or
I'm ready. I'm ready to share my plan with the crew whenever we're together.
I know that before we go downstairs, I'm assuming Leslie's already made his way downstairs where he's all sunshine and lollipops. I want to knock on the door. I'm assuming that Tal's is still in there.
yeah?
I did.
Look, Leslie,
Hey,
I have
bud.
30 laces. Give me a minute.
It's not gonna take too long. Can you like let me in really quick? It won't take too long.
Oh, it's Medora. Yeah, sure, come in.
All right.
He's like,
Oh, it's
Hey,
not Leslie.
buddy.
Thank God, it's not that guy. Sure, if it's
So talking
Medora.
about Leslie, I'm just kidding. I got a quick question for you. So I was like looking in my supplies that I had, and I have like this mysterious vial that I can't quite figure out. I don't know if there's like a smell or anything to it. Can you like smell it really quick for me? I know you're a wizard. You have like really good senses, and like I want to open the vial and kind of like put the top of the vial, including like the cobwebs, like near his nose, and like make him sniff.
Absolutely. I mean, how does Talith react? What are you doing, Talith?
well,
You have a mysterious liquid
yeah,
shoved
like
underneath
she
your
like
nose?
she like shoves it at me. I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, he could smell it, I guess, but I mean, I don't think Talith would gain any knowledge from sniffing
Does
it.
this?
You don't need to roll off
do
of
anything?
smell. It's metallic.
do
It does not affect him in any way. Not just smelling it. Also, I will state, Talith, you do not see the kind of web-like strands that Medora is seeing.
Yeah. I mean, like, if you
interesting.
want, like, I mean, like, I could try to, like, if it's like a magical thing, I can try to like identify it. Like,
No,
I have a
it's all
spell.
good.
Oh, okay.
It's all good. If it's just metallic, it's fine. It's fine. I'll figure out what it is. I'll just put it back in my pocket.
Okay.
See you downstairs.
Yep. And he starts slicing up his other boot.
Yeah, you're halfway through the other boot. Eventually, all of you descend the stairs. The kind of tavern room is abuzz with this tense, hushed whisper of people chatting with each other. You can tell that there is this sense of something akin to fear, a nervousness that spreads amongst the people here. Would any of you like to try to ascertain? I knew Drew would be
Drew's hand went
That hand
straight up.
rocketed.
Talith, could you roll a d6 for me?
Oh.
A 4, DM.
A 4, huh?
Oh.
Well, you can tell easily. All of you can actually tell this. As you walk down the stairs, people are talking to each other. Apparently, there is a cleric of death. The god of death is a figure in the sectors that shepherds souls to their rightful place. But the sectors are a very large place. And so he has various believers that do his will. And they're, in general, very unloved. It is believed that the presence of a believer is basically tidings of death, that they bring death as well as shepherd them. So they're very necessary people, because if there is not someone to shepherd your soul after death, then it can be taken, stolen, used as currency by demons and devils. You do not end up where you should be. But at the same time, no one wants a believer before someone has died. The specific rumor that you hear of, Talith, being passed around, because there are not many believers of the god of death that roam. Mm-hmm. You hear tale of the soldier. The soldier is a wandering knight clad in steel plate, rusted with blood. They carry countless weapons strapped to them: spears, swords, axes, hammers, anything that you can imagine, even commoner weapons like sickles and scythes, anything that has been used to take a life. They believe that all of these weapons belong to warriors that they've buried. And apparently someone has seen them walking the streets. Now, you can't tell whether or not that's accurate, or if someone is just telling a story because that is the story to be heard. But apparently a lot of people have seen various believers out and about.
Interesting. Okay, cool.
Is it just me, or is the energy kind of weird today in here?
I think we should take a walk.
Noted. I got
Okay,
some
yeah,
bad gree-gree in
sometimes-
here. Get some fresh air.
Yeah. And sometimes a walk, clears the mind. I guess I am kind of tired. Maybe that's it. Maybe I just need a walk. That's a great idea, Talith.
As they get out of the tavern and kind of get away a little bit, he'll just pose the question. Are you guys familiar at all with the clerics of death?
Are we, DM?
How about, could both of you roll a d6 for me?
Ooh.
Oh.
Ooh. Ooh. Ooh.
I love rolling a dice that isn't a d20 when the DM asks me to. That's a 2.
A 2.
That's also a 2.
Yo.
In that case, Medora, you can re-roll.
Oh, okay.
Re-roll on a 4 or a 2.
A 4.
I should just have you. Actually, no, that'll work because it's been cut down to 4 things. Because so we're good. We're good. Everyone has heard tales of the believers. They're one of the most consistent folklore across the sector because everyone dies. And wherever there is death, there are believers. Specifically, Leslie, you would know of the Bugler. The Bugler is one of the more mysterious of the believers. No one knows their face. No one knows what they look like. They're constantly covered in this long shroud that shadows them, keeping their physical form unknown. They carry this long horn that kind of looks like a massive vuvuzela. What you do know is that the bugler's song instills the dead with the will to walk again. They rise from the graves to follow the bugler in packs. So wherever the bugler is, you know that the dead follow. Medora, you would you remember stories told by your mother, Mama. Stories of the Keeper. The Keeper is the eldest of the believers. The Keeper is bound in these rattling chains that seem to sing the songs of the damned as they walk. They say that the Keeper committed a horrible crime that once angered the god of death, and in retribution, death bound them and brought them under his will to serve him forevermore. So all of you have heard of the believers. Talith, this is a little strange to you. You've heard stories, but none as specific as the other two.
Okay. I mean, I only ask because apparently that seems to be a lot of what the tavern talk was about some of the believers being spotted recently.
Yeah, I've heard of the believers before. That's just folklore, though, right? They're not really walking around, like, at least not like the ones in the stories.
Knowing how I got my stories, I think they're pretty real.
Really?
Let's just say I got my ways on communicating with people, and they've told me some crazy tales and stories about these believers. And I'd say that they're real. I'm superstitious, though, but I could say that they're real.
Well,
Okay, well,
maybe it's best just to keep our heads on a swivel then.
but why would they be saying such a thing? Did something happen?
Maybe, well, if we check around town, maybe we'll find out if something did happen.
Did Drew already use our eavesdrop?
We'll assume that was the eavesdrop for today because
Okay, I
everyone was
figured.
talking about the same thing.
Yeah, I
Okay.
figured. Okay.
That's good. That
Um,
means that there wasn't enough chatter about me possibly murdering Langley.
Well, if we want to learn more, we could talk to Harold. Now, this is what I was thinking in terms of Harold. And we can choose whether or not this is the right move, knowing that there's all this hullabaloo about the believers and whatnot. I was thinking, if we approach Harold with concern about the Langleys, and it's not tied to Matt Vey whatsoever, then we can maybe share light inklings of suspicious activity without actually Harold believing that we're a threat. Now, if Harold would actually like to pin Langley and helps us, then that gives us reason to believe that he might actually be interested in taking them down. That's what I'm thinking. So we can walk in and say, hey, there's some weird stuff going on with the Langleys we think you might want to know. And then see what kind of gossip he wants to share.
I mean, would that work? Might be treading the line just a little too closely, but if we try to do that, boy, I mean, this is something that could be dangerous.
There's nothing I love more than Drew stalling for time in character while he writes stuff down for himself.
Mm-hmm.
This is like a personal joy of mine.
You see,
Are you guys standing outside of the building while you discuss this?
I think we're walking, we're walking down the street.
I figured we were kind of taking a walk, but like we're definitely still in public.
All of you would know that the streets seem you notice that the streets seem strangely clear and that the flow of traffic is heading in actually the direction that you are going.
Oh.
Anybody else feel see this is odd? This is a tourist place. Why? What?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's less people out than before. I guess if there's talk of the believers, that makes sense. Why is everybody headed this way? That's what I'm wondering.
I say let's ride the wave and see.
Yeah, maybe we can
where
keep
they're
an
going.
eye out.
Yeah,
I'm
blend
gonna
in.
DM. I didn't say this right away, and I apologize. I am going to be reattuned to Melody.
Yeah.
And I'm going to send her up in the sky and kind of get a bird's eye view and see if I can't like notice where this is, what direction this is taking us towards.
Absolutely. You would know that the crowd is heading towards the Matvey Manor. And as you get closer, there is there is like a cluster, a clump of people that are kind of outside the gates, and you can also see there are guards near the entrance, and there are a couple of Modrons.
Yeah.
That
As soon as we vaguely begin, as soon as like Talith realizes, we're heading towards Matvey Manor, he immediately grabs both Leslie and Medora and just pulls them into some dark alley, like while we're still a couple blocks away, and he just kind of pins up against the wall. Just
What's going on?
He then puts a hand on Leslie, and his eyes both kind of glow, kind of this greenish color before his eyes actually kind of like roll back in his head.
Oh God!
No.
And he will.
Are you a believer?
And he will look through Melody's eyes and ears, and have her fly the rest of the way towards the manor.
Absolutely.
And just see what she can see.
You notice I mean, the manor has a lot of various guards of the city. There are a few Modrons. You think that the highest tier of Modron that is currently there is probably a Duodrone. Just high enough that they can command monodrones and automadrones.
Automatrons?
No, automadrons. Because they're Modrons, but they're automatons, so they're automatrons.
That's good.
There's a big difference. But there's nothing high. Like there's nothing crazy there. No one's super high ranked. They are canvassing the estate pretty much. They're covering ground as best that they can. You do see Harold and Garth are being escorted to a kind of separate building by a couple of guards.
Mm-hmm.
But you are unable to get any real information outside of that.
Yeah, just there's a bunch of Modrons. Something definitely went down. Okay, so he'll come back to his own senses and say, well, that happened sooner than I was hoping.
What? Tell us
happened?
anything. We've been standing here for like 2 minutes.
I've been
just-
looking at the
he
fact
just-
your eyes rolled. That was
He just pulls, he just grabs him again, and they begin to weave their way away from the Matvey Manor.
Can you tell us
And
anything?
as-
what is going on?
Shush.
Okay.
And
gonna start
after they
screaming if you
get
don't
away
tell
a
us.
little bit and like find like a safer place to kind of chill for a moment, he'll say,
Behind a dumpster.
okay, so there's a couple Modrons at the Matvey Manor.
Oh,
I am
Modron's here. Why?
I'm 97.3% confident that Matvey is probably dead.
what?
How?
Wasn't he alive
Why?
when he was there? What'd you do?
I did see Harold, so if we wanted to talk to him, now we have a really good excuse to talk to Harold. Yeah.
Does anyone have any guesses what might have happened between our outing and?
he just
Well, I guess it could have happened
Talith
before.
looks again around, like is like the crowds, like are there any people nearby? Is anyone paying attention to them?
Kind of a young newsie runs by and he goes, extra, read all about it. Cave and Matvey, missing in the dead of night. He
Nice.
just starts like,
I'll take one of
waving
those.
newspapers around at people.
I will do this via message. So technically I'm speaking to one of you at a time, but I'm going to send this message back to back to both you guys. So I may or may not have encouraged Addie to finish off Matvey last night.
Okay, one of us gets the news and reacts, and then the next one gets the news and then
Yeah.
react. Right? So, you encouraged Addie to do that? You encouraged her?
Yes.
Whose idea was it, though?
Okay, well, look. So I've had my suspicions for a little while now about who exactly Addie is. Again, this is all still mentally back and forth between people.
Mhm.
So he's like,
I'm just like, I'm so lost. I'm like,
he's just spamming spells right now.
Someone's going to look into this alley and be so confused. Just like,
He's got
miming
he
to
has,
each other.
He has two copper wires out one pointed at Medora, one pointed at Leslie, and he just keeps talking back and forth.
Leslie like freaks out and then Medora looks and like punches you in the shoulder. Like, what? Come on, tell me.
tell me.
So I've had my suspicions for a while now as to who exactly Addie is. I strongly suspect at this current time that she is the Star Killer. And with this suspicion, and given the context of what we found out at the Langley Manor, of Langley and Matvey working closely together, kidnapping children, experimenting on them, and making them into child soldiers, both of us emotionally may have been greatly moved to do something about it. And again, me already suspecting who Addie is encouraged her to do what she does. And so it seems that she probably succeeded.
Hold up.
Also,
Rewind for a second. Rewind?
yeah.
You think the Star Killer, Addie?
I'm like 97% confident.
Do I know who the Star Killer is?
No.
Okay. This is a lot to take in.
This is a lot.
What who is the Star Killer, if I may ask?
Oh, well, I don't know much about the Star Killer myself, just rumors that I've heard and things that I've seen on the wanted posters. But basically, the Star Killer is a likely female warrior, some kind, known for killing figures that are well beloved in the public eye.
Okay, but from what we've seen, there's strategy as to who, right? Like, theoretically, these are bad individuals?
There's no evidence to say that these people were bad people.
Now, as a collective, no.
Well, she
Now-
did say she likes to start fires. And I guess she started one, all right?
Now, TM, after we've sat here for a minute, I'm gonna stand up again and begin to make my way even further away from the main hustle and bustle. I am curious if we do like a little bit of a swing by the Langley residency. Is there any hubbub going on over there too?
There is. You do see that there's basically an ambulance that is parked outside. That is for the like sector's hospital.
Okay.
The kind of like interplanar medical residence for people.
Nice.
You see some medics moving in and around the manor, but there are like a couple of guards here, but most of them are focused on the murder.
Okay, great.
I like to think as we approach
the missing person.
I like to think that as we approach, like before we're around the corner, Leslie's like, but my question is, why would she start with Matt Vey when clearly the Langley was the one kind of owning? And we round the corner, there's like an ambulance outside the Langley manor, and we're like, oh no.
Well, actually, this was probably my doing, actually. Anyway, let's keep going.
You did that,
and then he
you?
just keeps making his way around. And at this point, he's heading towards the secret bar because that's the closest thing to a safe house that he knows of.
What the?
Yeah, Medora, speak your mind. Speak your mind.
My head hurts from the amount of messages he had to send me because it's messing with my magic, and it hurt too much. So it's just too much information. It hurts.
Yeah. I think we need an extra coffee and or a drink.
I need that strong drink that one man made me.
Yeah.
And we need to
Sunday morning.
Need to hide. We need to hide right now.
While you say that, you do approach the Hardened Scales.
Nice. Yeah. So
is that the place with the rebellion folks?
Yeah.
Oh, it is the place with the rebellion folks. Okay, it's a safe location theoretically.
Yeah. 100%. You enter, the little bell rings. You see Garrick the Destroyer behind the counter. He says, well, you guys have shown up 2 days in a row. How many times has it been?
Who's keeping track at this point? Is it all right if we visit the downstairs?
Absolutely. Are you here to pick up your friend?
Actually, yes, I would love to check in on her. Also, while we're here, I guess I can't speak for the other two. I wouldn't mind a distraction currently from some of the stuff going on in town. I was going to inquire about the job that you mentioned last time.
Oh, are you ready to distribute the fully illegal explosives?
Yes, those.
Well, that's just dandy.
Leslie
I'll get
has an
someone on
expression
that.
of alarm, a little bit. I think Talith picks up on it. Like,
I'll
yeah,
get
it's just a
right
little bit of
on
alarming.
that.
Just,
I'll make
just
sure
you just hear
to
in your head,
start
please
getting
just go with it
those
for
ready.
now. I just need something to get us away from here.
Now is as good a day as ever, seeing as all the people out there are all focused on that mat vape. Wait just a minute. Weren't you fellas just asking about the mat vase just the other day? That's such a wild coincidence.
Yeah, you know,
Wild coincidence.
sectors are a crazy place, you know? Yep, sure.
Absolutely not the same situation.
I'm
yeah.
Johnny Gash.
At least you'll still have the opportunity to talk to the Langleys, because I haven't heard anything about them yet. You hear outside, extra, read all about it. Langley poisoned in the same night the mat vase go missing. And Garwick the Destroyer goes, well, my goodness. That's just mighty unfortunate for you all, isn't it? I sure hope you managed to talk to him yesterday before all this terrible situation started happening.
Unfortunately, he was busy in a meeting of some kind, so we never got the chance. But it's all right.
That's such a bummer. Well, I sure hope that they catch whoever got those fine fellows.
Yep.
Anyway, you should probably head on down. I can whip you up something if that's all right.
Can you make your Sunday morning drink? I need one of them.
You know, you make it once and they just keep coming on back.
I know. I need
Would
some.
the rest of you like to try Sunday morning?
I could use a coffee.
I'll take a coffee too, actually.
Would an elvish coffee be fine?
Yes.
Where did you come from?
Well, because he's Johnny Gash right now.
Johnny Gash is over here. He's like, Luke, pick the ship out of the water, you must.
Gas station coffee I like. Chewy it must be.
The three of you are led down to the secret bar. Garwick will by the way, it's an elvish coffee because the elves are Irish, so that's all it is. It's just coffee with Baileys.
I hate you.
Oh, yum.
So you all head down to the bar. You see laying on one of the far tables is the girl that you got out of the manor. She doesn't appear to be awake still. Not crouched, kind of like sitting at the same table, relatively keeping an eye on her, is the fellow that Talith talked to the first time. You see him dressed in that kind of ragged tailcoat with the beat up tricorn hat with a kind of roughed up feather plume still hanging out of it. You can't see his face from here. His back is still to you. Garwick the Destroyer will begin mixing up your drinks at the bar. What would you guys like to do?
At this time, I think Leslie is a little bit on try not to be noticed as much as possible mode. And I think he'll just probably be following Talith around, which sound like opposing statements. But I think that's what he's going to do. He'll just lay low. He'll follow Talith around. He'll maybe stick with Medora as well. And he'll just kind of let Talith lead the way.
Okay.
Medora, is there anything in particular you want to do apart from Talith's hooliganry?
What a lovely question. I am going to. Well, I'm trying to do this and not get like a knife stuck in my throat. I want to go check like the girl.
Mm-hmm.
I guess this would again be a medicine check.
Yeah.
I want to see if there's like I guess it'd be like bruising or anything like that, or like making sure like she's overall like okay.
Yeah. Roll a medicine check for me as you
Can I
walk over. Okay.
can I actually assist with that? Because that's the first thing I was gonna go do was check on the girl too.
Fantastic. All three of you will head over there. Roll that medicine check with advantage.
And I also am proficient in it, so I need to add that.
This is a lot of medicine checks here today. This episode filled with medicine.
22.
Hot dang. Physically, you actually notice that the girl is pretty fine. You see that there is a bruise on her arm from where Addie had to hold her like wrist to prevent Talith from being stabbed. But other than that, physical wounds, you don't really see any of. Her eyes are still closed. If you pull back her eyelid, you can see that there is still that kind of steel gray liquid sloshing around in her iris.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that you, Medora, specifically notice, especially with that 22 medicine check, is the girl has a soul, but you can't feel it. Like you know that she has a soul within her, but you can't. Normally, you can kind of see like almost an effigy around a person if you look hard enough. There is no soul leakage, so to speak, from this girl. As you kind of walk over and you start to look this girl over, you will hear the man say, "Well, Hoodoo, I suppose you're here to pick up your friend that the last dropped off. Am I reading you right?"
Captain, actually, if it's possible, I think if possible, it might be best for her to stay here for just a little bit longer. We're going to be in a bit of a hairy situation probably for a little while. Has she done anything in the night? Have you been here the whole time?
Yes, your friend caught me last night as I was getting ready to go, but I decided to stay for the last.
I see.
Hasn't moved a smidge. Quiet as a mouse.
Talith will pull out some of his books and stuff, and he's gonna take a few minutes to ritually cast Identify.
Cool.
Just to see if it picks up on anything, if it picks up on like the quick steal or any other kind of magical effects that she's being ailed by.
100%.
And if you think detect magic would be more suited,
let's go with detect magic. Identify is specifically for like a physical item. Like if you're holding the vial, you may be able to use Identify a little bit better. Sure. But normally it'll be like an enchanted item or something like that.
Okay, yeah. So Talith will just go with detect magic then.
Absolutely. Detect magic. What a fantastic question as to what detect magic comes up with. I need to real quick search up something.
On the spot work, y'all.
Absolutely. Well, you see, there's a lot of different types of magic, you know? There's a lot of them out there. You think this the number one type of magic that is imbued within this girl is abjuration. There is bits of necromancy as well as enchantment. So those are the three types of magic that you kind of pick up from this girl. Interestingly enough, you also pick up similar magic from Captain Silvers.
What?
Like of those three?
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Whoa.
Much less.
Interesting.
You would. I should actually change that slightly. You do not get the feeling of enchantment from it.
No
Just the
enchantment.
abjuration and a necromancy.
Okay.
You also know that there are elements of nature magic as well as divine magic.
Oh.
Because obviously the types of magic can be from any source, but the sources that you're picking up on for those schools are both nature and divine.
It's a magical party in there.
Absolutely,
It
it
is
is
a
a
magical
real
party.
cocktail of magical effects.
Now real quick.
Mhm.
If that detect magic is over, I'm all and done. Now it's Leslie's turn. 2 questions. 1,
Yeah,
does Leslie recognize the voice of Captain Silvers?
this is a voice that has haunted Leslie's dreams.
Yeah, literally last night I was dreaming about this.
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting. Second question. Leslie will, at that, just furrow his brow and peek out from under his hat because he's just been looking down this whole time. His main concern is like, I don't want any of these people to see my face. He will lift his brim and just look ever so slightly out from under the brim to see if 1, he recognizes Captain Silvers, and 2, if he can then just briefly scan the room and see if there's anybody else of note to Leslie.
Sounds good. Make a perception check. I'd also like. Oh, could you tell? Oh, I get asked for another fun passive. Could you tell me your passive stealth?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give you my passive stealth first. My passive stealth is 14.
Okay.
Not bad. Not
And
bad.
my perception check was pretty poor. It was a 7.
The only people that are in the bar currently are you and your party. Garwick the Destroyer is behind the counter. There's the girl laying on the table, and then there is Captain Silver. As you raise the brim of your hat, Captain Silvers is kind of in mid conversation, just kind of talking about like what he's been doing over the night, taking care of the girl or whatever. You look up and his eyes catch yours.
Oh God.
By almost complete happenstance, he happens to be looking your direction when you look up, and he stops in mid sentence.
I instantly lower my hat.
And he says, "Will I be the great Cotton Leslie back from the dead? Come to take your revenge on old Cotton Silvers, eh? Because the last time I saw you, you were gutted back to belly and thrown over the side of your own ship."
Oh, so that's what I saw.
If you've come to take your revenge, I'm afraid you're a little too late.
No. Let's all keep a cool head on our shoulders.
Nah. Let this happen.
Leslie,
I put my
been
magic
dead for
on.
years, boy.
Leslie looks under the brim of his hat again. So you saw through the beard in the disguise, eh?
As
You were
though
always pretty good.
I could ever mistake the man that I fought tooth and nail.
I want you to know something. I'm not interested in fighting. I'm not interested in doing anything right here, right now with you, except to say one thing. You're the reason we lost the war. You're the reason everything's like this. It wasn't me. It wasn't even Ripper. It was you. And I don't know what you're trying to do, being in this room, acting like we can do something about this. As if the revolution is still happening. Sure, Captain Silvers is dead, yeah. So is Captain Leslie. And it's all fallen on your shoulders.
You're saying it like I don't already know.
Well, that's fine and dandy.
You think I wanted it to turn out like this?
Then what did you want?
I just wanted to be free. To breathe without the fear of jailers on my back. Look where it got me.
The amount of loss and trouble that you caused me, that you caused the ones that were on the right side. We actually had a chance. I know you know it. And I know that you were in a bad position, but God damn it. You're one of the most selfish people that I know. And I was hoping that I'd never see your face again. And it's strange because I don't even want to fight you. I just wish I'd never seen you. And Leslie is no longer making eye contact with him, as if he's like shunning him.
The rest of you who can still see Captain Silvers notice that he is visibly shaking. And he says, Captain Leslie, you're right to blame me. I was a fool for trusting him. And if I could go back, truth be told, I don't know if I could resist the chance of freedom. But knowing what I know now, I'd avoid him like the plague. But you should know, the only reason we caught you Lieutenant Ripper reached out to me.
Really?
And she sounded damn scared.
Scared?
I don't know. I don't know what I've...
Well, not of me. Not of anybody I know.
No. What she told me is that if I didn't take you down, everyone would be dying.
What? Look. Ripper cared about one thing, and that was ending the war. She didn't... I know that she didn't want people to die. That... it's confusing. But she never struck me as afraid of anything, ever. She made her own decisions. She made the choice. What could she have been scared of? What you said something. You said, knowing what you know now, you wouldn't trust him. What happened? What'd you learn?
Well, now I know that there was never really any true freedom to be had to be gained. You see, signing up for the privateers that they were looking for, that option that they gave to people who were running from the law to fight for them, and they'd have their crimes forgiven. Well, you still had to sign up for their army. And part of that is taking the medicine they give you to make sure that you're safe and healthy. It's poison, boy. Keeping you bound to him. Once the war was over, we learned the truth of it. That if we didn't keep coming to them to get their safety injections, then the poison would kill us in the end. I told you I'm already a dead man. Yes, Medora.
Am I listening? Am I like?
Oh,
Yeah,
Hearing
we're
this
like right here.
It's really
Okay.
like this face off, and then you and Talith are like just to the side, like.
Okay.
I picture like Talith on one side, Medora on the other side, and we're talking between.
Yeah.
That's what is happening in my head.
When I hear Captain Silvers say injections, it's probably going to be a reach, but I want to ask, like, those injections, did you ever catch a glance of what it looked like?
I never got a good look at quite what it was, but I can tell you that it's advanced further now than it was when
Can I
injected it into me.
As I also took an interest when he mentioned the injections. As soon as he said that, I am looking at Silver's eyes.
Yeah.
Do I notice? Does he have particularly
Make an
silver
intelligence perception check.
sloshy eyes?
Intelligence because it's fine detail.
Not great. Intelligence perception. That would be a 13.
That's good enough. You can see it isn't sloshing around his eyes like it is for hers. It more like rims the irises.
Mm-hmm. Like it's like
There's a silver
it's
sheen to them.
caked in there now.
Yeah. And it's a much less quantity.
Well, that explains that.
Well,
You were injected with the same stuff this girl has.
Aye.
what? Really?
Well, this just got very interesting indeed.
Well, I want you to know something.
By all means.
I don't forgive you, but I do pity you. I see that you have been put in an unfair situation by the same people that put me in that situation. But you still made those decisions. I understand you were desperate, as was I. But you still cost us the war. And I'm sorry. But I don't forgive you.
I've never deserved forgiveness. If you'd have forgiven me, I might have stabbed you again.
Captain, does the chemical of divinity ring any bells to you?
Can't say it does. I don't know what was in that cocktail they gave me back then. I know that they're still using it now and it's advanced. Now they can really control people.
Where did you go to get this injection?
It was on the home planet Ouroboros. Specifically
Drew jots that down.
in their main city, a storm breach. That's where everything goes down.
You can see Leslie get visibly angry at the mention of Storm Breach once again. It was mentioned earlier, but in this context especially, yeah, Leslie's not happy at that.
It's okay, bud. It's okay.
Can't be.
And I'll say, if you pity me, you ought to pity the girl more.
Is she dying too?
It doesn't look like she's dying. But the drug's been improved. It used to be that they controlled us because we'd die if we didn't take the antidote. Or at least, it would stave off the effects of it for some time. But her... I've got a keen eye. Snake tongue. something about this girl. She isn't all there. Normally, you can tell when someone's in the room watching you. They give off a sense, a feeling. The girl's got none of it. I've seen people now and again that give off the same sense. Most of the time, they're dead by the time I find them.
DM question, because I don't know if I actually asked this last time. As Silvers is talking, Talith will actually look back down at the girl. What does she look like?
Oh, yes. She is human. She is relatively pale, but she has kind of raven black hair. Her hair goes down to about mid-back. Pretty plain, tied into kind of a low pony. Her eye color is, other than the silver/gray bits of it, kind of just a dull brown, like a kind of hazel. Other than that, she doesn't really have any noticeable features. She's wearing pretty standard garb, just common. Oh gosh, it's not slacks. Trousers is the word that I would use. Trousers and kind of a simple shirt, cotton.
Okay.
Talith, didn't you say in that one dream you witnessed, didn't they mention something about a new army or something like that?
I mean, more or less, Matt Fay, with the help of Langley, trying to create a new child army, basically.
And if they're using it on you and other soldiers, and you're not like that, well, maybe they've just made progress. Bad progress.
I can tell you that you should be watching out the most. Captain.
Me?
Yes.
You don't have to tell me twice, I know.
No, not because of what you're thinking. Everyone thinks you're dead. They're not looking for you. Most of those folks that I've seen that are in the same state of this girl are shifters.
Shifters?
Aye.
Really?
I'd go as far to say, if I were to take a swing at it, at the medicine or poison, whatever you call it, it has more effect on someone who's changing. Children growing. Shifters. Sets in faster. Although I can tell you right now, the shifters had more sense of self than this girl here.
They couldn't just leave it at destroying our home. They had to take our...
Okay.
All right.
Now here's the real question, though. They've been using this drug, at least a variation of it, for a very long time. However, is it just Matt Fay and Langley who are trying to advance it so far as to use it on children? Or is it a bigger issue within the sector? Because if it's a bigger issue within the sector, I don't think we can do anything about this. If it's an issue about Langley and Matt Fay, then it's likely isolated to be here on this moon. And that we can deal with. he'll at this point, Talith will turn to Garth.
He has not heard a word. He's solely focused on his craft.
Hey,
His eyes are level with the drink as he like sprinkles a little bit of garnish onto it. He like nods with satisfaction.
hey, Garth. What were those?
Oh,
What were the coordinates of those locations you mentioned?
Oh, for the bombs?
Yeah.
The incredibly illegal explosives? Well, there's one on each of the poles of Perrin, and then there's 4 equidistant on the equator.
Okay. So are these meant to be hitting specific buildings or?
Yeah. One of them hits the barracks that holds most of the settled force. We're hitting the communication hub. There's the war memorial. The hub of energy that they're siphoning from Piran and is part of their interconnected energy pathway. The dock, so that way it's harder to launch and receive ships, and their storage, which is where they're keeping most of their weaponry, most of their food and water, and pretty much any extra reserves that they'd be using.
And how would you feel about, if it exists, possibly shifting that memorial bomb to blowing up a chemical factory?
I mean, depends on the chemicals, and it'll really set off the whole display, you know? Unless the chemical facility is right next to where the memorial is, it'll look real bad.
No,
It'll be like, well, why are all the other ones on all these like 90-degree locations, and then this one's just like sitting at a 24?
right. I see. Okay, thank you. Turns back to the others.
Players, roll perception checks.
Grant, your mic's doing the thing.
Oh, hold on.
Players, roll perception checks.
Players, roll perception checks.
I mean, not great for me.
Medora.
Oh, it's pretty good. Pretty good.
Yay!
Pretty
I
good.
rolled- I rolled
Okay,
an
I wanted
8.
you to notice. Okay, that's not good enough. Medora notices because Talith is
17.
yapping. You notice 2 things. One, you notice that Leslie looked down when he couldn't finish his statement about the shifters. You notice Leslie's fists are clenched in a concerning way, and you also notice some glowing from under the right side of his neck, where the Master Chief like turtleneck situation is like obscuring his neck. You notice some glowing happening from under that.
Bro, what's with all of us glowing from our necks?
Yo, because aesthetics are cool.
Mine was from my neck. I don't know what y'all talking about. Mine was from my neck.
Captain Silvers will speak up, and I'll say,
Currently, there isn't any known cure for it other than the injections that they give to stave off the effects for us tier 0 folks that are part of the first generation that they gave it to. But, Captain Leslie, your doctor that was on your ship, she was captured. I'd bet you if there's anyone who could figure it out, it'd be that gal.
Leslie nods and then says, and as he speaks, it sounds as if now when he speaks, it does sound like his voice, but somehow it sounds like it has more depth. It sounds like it has more authority. And he just says, You issued me a word of warning. And I need to issue you all a word of warning.
Oh boy.
And he raises the brim of his hat. And as he does, you notice that his eyes are no longer the way they were. Now they are almost slitted, and they have almost a more caramel golden hue to them. The pruners ought to be some of the most feared, some of the most respected group of people. They're dangerous, they're fast, they're cunning, they have experience. If they are under the influence of the other side, then we are all in danger, not just me. Here's what sets me apart from them. We were taught to respect life. We only take life to keep balance. If they lose that, then I don't know what they're capable of. Tal, if you have a question.
I'm so sorry. I'm about this very powerful statement. I just want to clarify for the sake of my note taking. Are you concerned that these pruners, who are very powerful warriors, might be also under the influence of this drug and therefore a very large threat? And does this relate to your doctor friends that may or may not be captured and also under the influence?
I would hope that if we can reach my doctor friend, that maybe there's a chance we can come up with some kind of solution. My point is, these are highly trained hunters. These are killers. And they might beat us. We need to act quickly. We need to be smart.
See, so you're concerned that these people are going to be coming after us if we try and investigate more.
I'm concerned in whatever they might be sent off to do. It's beyond us. It's beyond me. It's beyond you. This is a whole new force that is in the enemy's hands. And if they are turned towards us, then, well, that is a toss-up.
Well, I'm sure we could take them. So, DM.
Yeah.
In the notes that we collected, there wasn't any. Was there all of the notes related to like some of the transactions between Langley and Matvey, specifically with like the chemical transfers? Those basically of what was marked, it was basically just like delivery was from Langley or from Matvey to Langley, and it didn't note of like any sort of warehouses, like was shipped from warehouse to this place and from this place to Langley or whatever, right? Like there wasn't any of that.
Most of the distribution was from Matvey to Langley. There was a couple of direct transfers from Ouroboros to Langley, specifically quantities of quick steel.
Right. Okay.
Because that's the main distributor of that. That's the only place in the sectors where you can get quick steel is from the core planet of Ouroboros.
Okay.
But yeah, most of it is from Matvey to Langley.
It seems to me that the key to figuring out this drug has to do with whatever this divinity compound is. But we have no real leads as to where that is. Whether that's on this moon or somewhere else. The only thing I can think of would be looking more into that fertilizer delivery system that Matvey had to Langley. Leslie,
That might not be a good... Go ahead.
Do you suppose would there be any way to find out like transport records of just the Matvey carriage system of his company.
Who was that addressed to?
Leslie.
Okay, sorry.
Hmm.
We might just be looping back around to we might need to just talk to Harold, I guess.
Well, I do know that I do know the kind of, at least I got to look at the kind of carriage they were delivered in. They were delivered at 3 a.m. It was typically a team of, well, I think there was maybe 3, maybe 2 that was out there. If we can figure out one of the delivery people or maybe the supplier of the wagon, then maybe we can get a better idea.
I mean, are there any details on the wagon aside from the buzzard that you can recall that might be an identifier that we can maybe try and see if we can't find it?
I'd imagine I could probably describe aspects of the wagon.
Oh, yeah. It's a pretty basic wagon. You would know that, I mean, if you wanted to find the wagon, it could most likely be found at the Matvey estate.
Yeah, that makes sense. I would imagine that the wagon would be on the estate if it's making regular deliveries. And who better to ask than Harold, who doesn't seem to be wacky when it comes with eyes, which is relieving to me.
It's just going to be really tough to get close to.
Wait, I never saw his eyes.
I didn't want to bring that up. You don't know that for sure.
Yeah. Well, this just got a little more complicated.
I say overall we can talk this for hours, days, and years. Let's just set a little fire first, get these bombs delivered, then maybe while we're in each area, see if we can dibble and dabble and get some more information.
I mean, that's, yeah.
What are these?
We could get two birds with one stone.
What are these bombs meant to accomplish? Just out of curiosity. You know, I don't like to do anything without a plan, which is why I was so good.
And are you asking this to Garwick or to Silvers?
I think I'm looking at Silvers.
Silvers
I don't know if I'd ask. I don't know if I'd ask Garwick.
Silvers looks at you and he goes, "Come, Leslie. If I'm going to be fully honest with you, which at this point in time, I have no reason to be anything but. I think it might be one of the poorest decision-making choices I've ever seen in my life. There's no real tact or purpose behind them other than to send a message that no one knows what it is. It'll do nothing but bring a bunch of heat down on the current dregs of the rebellion that are still left. And at best, it'll hurt some soldiers and probably some civilians that really didn't have it coming. I was not a part of this plan. I want to be very clear. I had no say in the matter, what they were doing. I'm barely allowed to be here."
Interesting. I just look at Talith.
Garwick whistles to himself behind the counter and he says, "I've finished your Sunday mornings. If someone's looking to have a drink, by all means."
Bro.
Look, Leslie, don't look at me, okay? I don't really care about your rebellion, I'm going to be honest. So I was just going along with the job because I was offered to get paid for it and I need money. So
that makes sense.
Now, that being said, if perhaps the mind of the rebellion and the mind that brought down the rebellion want to work together a little bit to ascertain a better use for said bombs and or a completely different op altogether that could benefit our goal of preventing further kidnapping, enslavement, and use of child soldiers, I'm sure I'm more than willing to have discussion.
Now that's something we might actually be able to do. Leslie does smirk at Captain Silvers.
Captain Silvers is currently slamming back a mug of something.
Have y'all
Alright.
tried y'all's drinks yet?
Nope.
Calith just takes a sip of his coffee.
Takes a sip of my coffee.
Captain Silvers looks at the 2 other Sunday mornings and he says, "Am I to take it that you're not going to be drinking those?"
I don't think they can handle it. Because it's a great drink.
It's just that I don't like to be a waster of any fine spirits, so to speak.
Come on, you guys, y'all should try it. And I'm like looking him dead in the eyes, like, please freaking drink it for the love of God.
I'll try it. I'll try it.
Making eye contact with Medora as she's like trying to be like, try the drink. He just pulls out his pipe, puts it in his mouth, and it just kind of
lights a bowl.
and yeah, and like the runes glow and just a little bit of kind of like turquoise like glow comes from the end of the pipe as he just smokes his pipe.
I give him the glare. It's
mellow.
like, you slime mother. Okay.
At this point in time, Captain Silvers has taken Talith's drink.
Yeah, that's fine.
Fantastic.
He's just like, well, everyone's kind of looking at each other. By the way, Leslie, it has kind of a citrusy taste, which is weird because it has an undertone of like milk,
Leslie doesn't like that.
which like shouldn't work. For some reason, it kind of does. It's certainly an
Leslie doesn't
acquired
like it.
taste.
Then he starts to maybe like it a little bit, and he doesn't know why. And that's that situation. Now, here's where we're at, gang. We have the opportunity to come up with a plan for these bombs. We also have a potentially under the influence shifter that probably shouldn't be talked to. And we have a doctor who is under the influence. It's funny saying it that way, but they're like being mind controlled maybe by the opposition. We have an old doctor friend that needs to be saved and maybe help us come up with a cure for all this. I think we can combine all those things. Let's figure out how to use the bombs to break the doctor out. That's what I'm proposing.
I like those funny words.
Do we know where? Okay, that's a great plan, Leslie. I was thinking the same thing. Where is the doctor being held?
Well, if I had to take a stab at it.
Let me examine my notes.
Whoa! Prison break! That actually sounds fun. With bombs? Let's do it. Oh gosh.
Most of the prisoners that they took after the war was over, they have imprisoned on Arya, but that's for their general prisoners, for those nobodies that were just part of the war efforts. The next planet out, Toru, is where they keep the more specialized cases, the violent ones, the ones that they have a bit of trouble keep holding on to.
Trust me, this doctor would be on that planet. I've seen her in combat. Yes, doctor, one of the most terrifying people I've ever known.
The people on my ship called her the Doctor of Death, although that name's already been taken, so it only held for a little while.
Yeah, well, I'm just hoping that she's still alive. I have one last question, and I never thought that I'd ever hear this news from you, but how did the other moons fare? I know nothing of their state after the war, and I've already come to terms with the fact that many of them may be destroyed, including my home. But I just have to know.
Well, I can't say that they're faring too well, so to speak. Most of them have been, well, kept as similar as they could to what they were doing. But production has been highly enforced. Productions of goods and services, farming the land past its, well, what would be healthy for it? Farming animals more than they can be sustained. Taxes are high. People are dying. The farther you get towards Ouroboros, the worse it gets. Perrin hasn't been touched too much, so that way the rich and famous can stop on by and see how well Ouroboros has been doing after the war. But they never get to venture too far in.
And while I can connect the dots without the shifters on my home moon, well, it's probably in a pretty bad state.
You mentioned the
But-
pruners.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything about them. They were
Oh,
always
right.
a pretty secretive group. But
Right. The pruners are respected on my home moon. They had a very important job. They kept the environment, they kept the moon in balance. It's a simple philosophy. You take care of the moon, and the moon takes care of you. But in order to do that, it's a small ecosystem, and it's fragile. Something starts to overpopulate, it can start to, well, tip the scale a bit too far. And then certain animals can't eat. Certain plants get overeaten. And as soon as you know it, you have a dying moon. You have a dying atmosphere. It's unsustainable. So the pruners, well, they are shifters who have dedicated themselves to keeping the balance. And it's something that never stops. It's an honor. And it's also something that, in some ways, is a little heartbreaking. Because in order to keep balance, you have to have a respect for life. And to take life, well, as much as an honor it is, it's never easy. Which is why I've never really been one for killing. And he pulls down his Master Chief turtleneck and reveals his vertical tattoo. That is in sort of like it's like a mix between an elvish and a more like naturey, like druidic language, but it's pretty much unintelligible to all of you. But it is a vertical tattoo that looks like kind of a scrawl, and it seems like an ancient language.
Well, actually, really quickly, is your tattoo more possibly? You said druidic. Oh, I cannot say the word.
You would notice that kind of like how if you know Latin and Spanish, you can tell like, okay, these are kind of like Spanish has their roots in like this kind of Latin base. You would know that Druidic has a lot of similarities to what you see, but in the same way that like I can look at a page that has Spanish words on it and try to form a sentence in my brain as to what that might mean. If you were to actually ask someone who speaks the language, they would be like, no, that's not at all. Like you got kind of like one or two words right, but that is not at all the intent of this sentence.
Like, that's what I was thinking, where I'm like looking at a tattoo and I'm like, what is that? Who?
It's like, you know,
Continue.
Portuguese, but this is in Spanish. And so you're like, yeah, okay, I can kind of, yeah.
Yeah, it's actually an ancient language. Very few actually remember, and honestly, at this point in time, unfortunately, it might be a dead language. It's possible that everyone who knew it, which were a handful of pruners that were the most experienced, well, I don't even know if they're still around. I know a couple stuck behind to take care of the moon after the war, but with how things are, I have my doubts if they're still around. but one can hope. And so that's why these are dangerous. They're trained killers, they're hunters. And now all sense of humanity has been stripped from them, theoretically. And it saddens me. I looked up to them. They taught me everything I know. And I was never meant to lead a rebellion, honestly. I just cared about keeping the balance. That's all.
DM.
Talith, you have a question?
Wow.
Yes.
As Leslie is kind of sharing some of this, can I go over to the girl
Hmm.
and see? So last time, if I recall correctly, I was still able to look into the girl's mind and kind of gain some knowledge of what happened to her.
Mhm.
I just wasn't able to get a memory bead. Could I attempt to look back in and see if I can't stumble upon another memory that might lead to a little bit more information as to like what kind of leads we might still try and look out for?
Sure. It'll be another D6 check.
Okay. We're gonna hope for something good here, people.
I'm hoping for a 6.
Well, that in theory is good. Well, it's a 2, which is a different layer than I had last time.
You're once again presented with that steel cage that stops you from getting closer to fully drawing that memory out of her and making a copy of it for yourself. What you see through the cage this time is still from her perspective. You can tell that she is younger. This is years ago, probably. She is huddled in a corner near a wall in an alleyway as the sounds of explosions are happening in the distance. The sounds of gunfire and warfare as she crouches in what remains of the house where she lived. She weeps silently to herself, hoping that no one can hear her. And eventually she falls asleep. And that is where that memory ends.
Okay. So I guess perhaps. I mean, I like the idea of trying to free the doctor. She feels like our best bet as to start to try and understand a bit more about this drug and how we might counteract it.
I agree, and we can take her back here, maybe. Where
Yeah,
it's
bring her back
theoretically
here.
safe.
We do need a way to get to this other moon, though.
We need a ship. Leslie looks questioningly at Captain Silvers.
You have no ship for yourself.
I saw it in the scrapyard, out on the edge. It's broke my heart.
When I was discharged, they took the Moonraker from me, dismantled
I
her.
figured.
But
Well, we need to find a new one.
before they could get me out of my ship, well, I am a smuggler.
And he will reach down to his peg leg, and he will unhook a latch
Oh,
and pull out his like leg opens, and he pulls out this
Steam.
kind of like metallic, deep blue and purple rod with like arcane etchings on it.
Now, what is that?
I cast Identify on that.
As you cast Identify, Captain Silvers say,
Oh, Captain Leslie, you should know this better than the rest of these landlubbers. This here is the heart of the Moonraker. And you would know through the identify spell that this is a Spelljammer helm.
Yo, cool. There is a
this is-
glint in Leslie's eye at seeing it.
Yeah, this is the basically the helm and part of a power source for the ships that travel through the sectors. Normally, you can either A, run a Spelljammer by being a spellcaster. Anyone with spells can activate a Spelljammer helm. Or they have devised ways to power it from a third-party source. So eventually, it even opened up the ability to access Spelljammers if you are completely like a spellcaster.
You sly dog. You managed to keep the Moonraker without keeping the Moonraker.
You can take a man off a boat, but you can't
You
remove
can't
the
take-
boat from his heart.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say at the same exact time as you.
I
But
could tell.
it caught in my throat because it was so emotional. So I couldn't finish the statement.
Now, I don't mean to intrude, but a Spelljammer helm ain't much without a ship to hold it.
I was gonna say, what does this actually accomplish for us? We still need a ship.
But this means we can actually use one. So now all we got to do is find one. That's the easy part, right?
I mean,
Right.
is how looking
You
at
know.
Leslie, how well equipped are you at stealing a boat?
Timothy is not, too bad at repairs. And, well, the skirmisher is in pretty bad shape, but with enough hands on deck, literally, there might be room. It seems unlikely, but what do you think? Silvers, do you think that could ever happen?
I mean, are you talking about fitting the Moonraker to your skirmisher?
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Well, I haven't seen her since I killed you.
Yeah. I also haven't seen her since then until I was on the edge. And she's in
But-
pretty bad shape.
But for the most part, she's still intact.
Well, I can only hope. There's a lot of junk around there. It's kind of hard to get a really good view of it. But Timothy, I mean, he was
You mean the young lad, young Timothy?
young Timothy.
He's more like a big Timothy now.
A
he's
strapping
taller
young
than I
lad
am.
now. He's actually the reason I'm here.
Really?
Yes. Well, as we were clearing off the ships, well, your ship, so to speak, after the fighting was done, I found him hiding out in the rigging. A young lad at the time. I let him remain. Find his own way off. Sometime later, he found me, in a little rundown bar out of nowhere. Just about took my life on the day. Decided against it. He was my point of contact for the rebellion as it sits now. The only place I would have me is out here, where the rest of the scum remain. He's a good lad.
He really did take what I taught him to heart. Maybe he's more like Captain Leslie than I ever was.
I'd have to see it with my own eyes as to whether or not the skirmisher would work. If more than 75% of it is intact, I'd say that we could probably get it off the ground.
Well, it's worth a look. And the edge is a place that we can get off unidentified. Mostly. I hope so.
Okay,
With
I hate to be this guy.
Yep.
How are we supposed to get back to the edge?
We could hop aboard a trash barge.
So what now?
Well, the edge, it's where everyone tosses their
Yeah.
garbage.
Yeah, but
So all we have to do is find our way onto one of those. Short trip.
Might be a bit smelly, but it'd work.
I've been in worse places. I smell just about as bad. I'm aware you don't have to be ashamed of it.
sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, it seems like we have at least a bit of a sense of direction as to where we're going. We need to wait to. Well, actually, we need to go back to the inn, and meet back up.
We
with,
maybe should find
with
Addie.
Addie, exactly. I told her that we would be waiting for her there. It might be best to go back that direction and just lay low for a little while until she gets back to us, and then we can hop aboard one of these trash barges.
I didn't catch a lot of names. Is Addie the one who left
She's
this
the-
last here
yeah.
at the bar?
Yes, yes.
She had a look in her eyes last night. I've seen it plenty of times, most of the time looking at me.
Yep, she sure did.
I think we can trust her for now, but
Oh,
Oh,
I'd say you can trust her.
yeah, we could trust Addie. Just as long as you don't turn out to be a terrible scumbag who is secretly cheating on the innocent.
I've done a lot of cheating. But for the most part, if you were to take away the one big mistake I made, I'd like to believe that overall I've done good. Illegal good. Still, they were crimes. I'll admit it, they were crimes. I'm not about to lie and say that I was a saint.
I don't think any of the three of us are to judge, since all of us are also criminals. So
yeah,
You
I
are
guess that's
sitting in an
true.
illegal bar, drinking illegal drinks, talking about illegal bombs, after you may or may not have attained a young girl from a mansion last night. I didn't get the whole story from her. She was in a bit of a rush.
No, it's all true. And well, we did kind of end up here running from the Modrons in the first place. So there's that. Well, I suppose we better meet up with Addie, and then once we're all together again, let's get on the soonest trash barge, and if we're lucky, maybe we'll run into Timothy, who can help us out there. Because I don't know if we can do it without his knowledge.
Do you want me coming with you to the inn, or should I stay here with the gal?
I think you better stay.
I was just actually gonna say, if it's all right with you two, I might stay with the girl too. I want to try and try and gain any information I can.
That's fine with me, Medora.
I'm with me.
All right.
Cool.
We'll wait for Addie at the inn.
Right and dandy.
Well,
I wish you luck. Be careful in the streets. I don't know exactly what's going on up there, but I know when the streets are hot, looking for trouble. And Captain Leslie, I've already seen you die once. I'd prefer if you didn't do it again.
all right.
At least not without my hand on the blade.
Yeah, well, it wasn't your hand on the blade anyways, so you
I
didn't
know
actually
I'm
kill me.
figuring for a better shot the second time.
You know that's never going to happen.
Well, we'll see about which one of us gets me first, whether it be the poison or you.
Nah, you don't have to worry about me.
I'm always worried about you. Now,
Aww.
I told
I
you.
take a swig of my Sunday morning.
I told you back then, boy. You were a fine captain. Finer man than I'll ever be. And I am sorry that you died.
I'm sorry too. Leslie tips his hat and starts leaving.
He'll tip his own and then drink the rest of Talith's drink. So Medora and Leslie, you're headed back to the tavern, correct?
Yes, and Leslie will also set the rest of his Sunday morning on the table
Oh yeah,
before he leaves.
he'll pour-
I also
He'll
give
work
him
out
the
the
rest of
silvers.
my.
Yeah.
He slams back Talith. He combines. He just starts drinking. He's gonna be lit.
Yeah, have fun with that guy, Talith.
Wow.
Talith hanging out with a drunk Captain Silvers and
Bro.
Gilgamesh, the Destroyer, whatever his name is.
Garwick, but close enough.
Yeah.
So you two head back to the tavern. The streets are bustling at the moment. They are murmuring talk of murder, attempted murder. People saw ambulances near the Langley estate. People are worried. People are a little bit scared. These are most of the people who live on Piran are the rich and famous who have never really had any reason to be afraid of anything. And so a murder and a potential poisoning in the same night is pretty scary. You also notice that there's an increase of patrols of both Piran guards and automatrons that are wandering the streets. This is especially concerning for you because Addie has the watch
Oh no.
that protects you from being found by the Modrons.
That is true. Addie does have that watch that prevents the Modrons from finding us. But that's only if they scan us.
Which is great for her.
So
Oh yeah,
So
Addie's
why don't we-
living right now?
why don't we just kind of like, use alleyways,
Absolutely.
stick to like groups of people. We're gonna Assassin's Creed through these
100%.
people.
Do
to
a
the
little
end.
bit of parkour.
Yeah, hide in
Uh,
some like hay carts and things like that.
And and while they're going, Melody will actually be flying and up above and following them as they
Mhm.
make their way back.
Yeah, it's the third part. It's the third person camera for this Assassin's Creed game.
Exactly.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
Could I have you two roll stealth checks for me?
Sure can.
Yeah. Melody allows us to have like the little red dots on our mini map so we can see where the enemies
Absolutely.
Was this a stealth check?
Stealth. Yes, that was the
23 DM.
23. God dang, how we Medora, that's a face that does not bode well.
Leslie Spurs do not jingle jangle this day.
No, he's they're like Heelys. Four's not
Wait.
very good.
Oh no, is the average of that? What is the average of that?
That's a great
27 divided by 2.
27
right.
divided by 2. That would be 13.5. I think.
Hey, that's
above
a 10.
10 for a group stealth. I mean, do your thing, Dia. Whatever happens. I
Um
accept it.
They
Leslie,
step
you
outside,
are
immediately get scanned by a Modron.
you're using your spurs like Heelys to just kind of roll along
No,
the
I like
alleyways.
grabbed onto the robe of somebody in front of me, and I'm just like
Absolutely.
freewheeling, like as if I had a skateboard on a car, like.
And no
spoiler, yeah.
one sees that as weird. But no, you are sticking to the shadows very cleanly. Very Assassin's Creed. There's a point in time where you like climb a building, almost like cat-like, and then
There was
you're
a time
running
where
along.
I sit on a bench next to 2 other people, and then somebody walks by, and then I start walking again.
You jump off of a building into a bale of hay.
Yeah,
Melody
all of it.
screeches as you do it.
It all happens, and nobody notices, which is the
Nora.
amazing part.
You are
No.
incredibly stealthy. You're clothed in black in the middle of the day, walking through a crowd of brightly dressed people.
Yeah.
And frankly, you look like someone who's about to sell someone drugs.
Yeah.
You're like looking around and you like hustle around the corner.
Nothing suspicious here.
One of the guards will call out and they'll say, "You there? You in the cloak?
Oh no.
Alt.
Halt for random questioning.
Oh
They'll
god.
start
Random questioning.
push their way through the crowd,
God.
trying to reach to Medora.
Oh god.
Unlucky.
Medora, what do you do?
Oh god.
What do you do?
What do you do?
Get lost in the crowd and turn into a mouse.
What does Leslie do?
You're kind of getting ahead of me there, but shoot.
I'm sorry.
Kill him.
This is just
Kill him.
Drew's min-maxing strategic brain can't stop going.
Stab him.
I do want to go along
Cast
the
a big
route
flashy spell.
of but then
Seduce him.
I'm trying to
You can try that. You can
I'm
try
just
that.
trying to figure out the worst. What are the worst routes that you could take here?
Oh gosh.
Or the
let's see.
best routes. One of the two.
Go point out Leslie and call him out as a suspicious person.
Oh gosh.
Oh
Leslie, I will
gosh.
say you also notice this guard call out to Medora in the street. And you are both aware of this.
Ooh,
You're hiding in your hay bale.
I
Yeah.
will try to get lost in the crowd a little bit.
I will. Okay, what do Modrons dislike?
This is not a
More
Modron. This
than-
is a regular Perrin guard.
Oh, that's
Oh, it's a
actually
regular
less,
parent guard.
This is a
That is
regular
less
Perrin guard.
concerning to me.
No.
All right, we can work with this. We can work with
All
this
right.
for sure.
I should have gone with you guys. I have charm person.
I kind of like slow down and turn. Oh, what's the problem, officers? What's the problem?
Nothing to be alarmed with, ma'am. This is just a regular, random assessment. We needed to pull you to the side because you were, frankly, you looked like a suspicious person, and we're looking to clear up some things.
Oh yeah, for sure.
If
I
you
do
would
apologize.
mind coming along with me to the guardhouse, we would prefer to question you.
Oh no.
I'm so sorry. This is my first time being on this moon. I'm a tourist. The crowd is quite scary for me, and I'd heard a lot of crazy stuff at the place I'm staying. I do apologize. I get quite worked up when I'm in really enclosed places like this.
There's
I
no
just-
concern. The guardhouse is much less crowded.
I'll follow them if they end up going.
I do also have to go to an event later, and my stuff is in my hotel, like my room.
If don't worry, as long as you have nothing to hide, this questioning will not take very long. 5 minutes at most.
Okay.
5 minutes isn't bad.
Yeah, but if they find something out, then it's gonna be real bad.
Go to the
You got this. You got this,
Sweet.
Medora. Lock in. Lock in.
All right,
Yes, Talith.
officers, if it's not that long, all right.
Has Melody noticed this?
Yes, Melody definitely knows that Medora is currently speaking with a guard, and the guard seems relatively positive, but you can see that he also occasionally like narrows his eyes at Medora, like, you don't look like you're supposed to be here. And then the two of them do start heading towards a collection of guards that have kind of a makeshift guardhouse.
While they're walking, I don't know if I could be able to do this.
You can always ask.
I want to see if I can. I don't want to use entangle to its full
Mm-hmm.
intensity, but I want to kind of like cause like a random root to come out the ground and like make them trip on accident.
Fantastic. Can I have you roll a wisdom arcana check, and you will expend a spell slot for this.
Understood. Okay.
Pulling a little prank on the guard.
So yeah, this will be your wisdom bonus, and then proficiency if you're proficient in arcana.
They trip. Medora slips away. They never
13?
ever see us again.
13. I'm going to roll a save for the guard. The guard crit.
What do you mean by that?
You kind of go deep within yourself. You feel the connection to the planet below you, and like dandelions breaking through the concrete, a vine whips up and wraps around his ankle. Little did you know, this guard has leg day every single day.
and his leg
God.
gets stuck, and he goes, "Huh, a weed." Ah, and just shoves it, and just rips it out of the earth, and he says, "Incredible what the power of nature can do."
That was absolutely wild. I've never seen that happen before. Wow.
It's understandable. Few have as toned quads as I.
Mhm.
I was a trainee at Iliad, I'll have you know.
Oh wow. On our journey, tell me more about it. Is there like any people that you know of?
Oh, well, of course. I was a student, and he'll start just talking about his time at Iliad.
I
DM.
was like, can I do it like while he's walking? Can I just like
Just walk a different direction.
away?
Yeah, absolutely. Roll a stealth check with advantage.
He's just talking, telling the story, and Medora just like leaves. That's funny.
This is amazing.
So is this stealth with
Advantage, yes.
okay.
Did Medora just like wholesome seduce via plant?
Yeah.
20.
Not 20? Are you crying?
Well done. Well done.
This guard is walking and talking. He says, "Well, as you know, Iliad, the institution of lasting improvement of drive, the institution created by those at the gates of eternity, the Church of Iron,
Yes!
to foster a
Yo.
generation of strength and prosperity in future guardians of the sectors. I, of course, was but a freshman at the time when I was inspired by the great Serpentivus. He was my geography teacher at the time, a fine man, and his legs were finely toned. Out of all of the professors, there was none who had hamstrings nearly as well defined and feathered. He inspired me as both a man and a student to improve myself. No one, you're not there anymore. This is just him talking.
I'm already gone.
To improve
Oh my
myself
god.
to realms even further. He took me under his wing and trained me in his ways. Hack squats, Bulgarian split squats. Incredible man. And truly, I can keep going if you'd like.
I love
At
this.
this point,
No.
like, I have now
This is
leapt
good.
into the
No
crowd
one's
and I'm
there.
like,
He stopped
Oh my
walking.
God.
He's just reminiscing now. Melody hears this. That's the only reason you heard the continuation.
Yeah, yeah. Like at first, even Melody got so mesmerized by like this regalia that she didn't even realize at first that Medora just
Absolutely. She's like,
slinked
"Wow,
away.
his protein routine is absurd. Like, there's no way that this guy isn't on a cycle."
Right. And then after a moment or two, yeah, like she'll realize, oh, Medora's gone. Where'd she go? And she'll like spot her and then like keep following.
Absolutely. Yes, Grant.
Tomorrow, could we record a story time with this guy of this walk with some walking ambience and put it on Patreon?
I'm fine with that.
He could be like
30 minutes.
five to 10 minutes long of just this guy talking about his time.
I
in the
would
Church of
absolutely
Iron.
love to do that, Grant.
Oh
We
my
can find some
God.
time.
Okay.
But Medora, you successfully escape the guard. The two of you will manage to make your way to the tail's end. The tone of the crowd around you has shifted. They're still talking about the believer, the agent of the god of death. But the rumors are now much more grounded. They're more solid in the knowledge that, yes, there is an agent of death here. Most of them are of the belief that Sir Matvey is dead, and that it is the cause of this believer. You would also know that just by walking through town and listening to these rumors, you can kind of confirm which one of the believers that it is. Specifically, this is the disciple. The disciple is one of the most well-known of the agents of death. He is a much more recent one. Some know them of the kindest of the believers. He is the most gentle and the most personable among them. Others believe that he is the most cruel. This kind of split in story and tale is spread out. Some of them tell stories of his time on one of the sectors where he was part of a civil war that ended with the most death in history. Others talk about the time where he saved the life of a nobleman who went on to be one of the kindest rulers that the sector had ever seen. The opinion of him is split, but everyone agrees that wherever he is, if he is near, calamity is close by. You also know that he is currently preparing to basically give a send-off to the soul of someone, and most people believe it to be Matvey. But you arrive back at the inn, hear these rumors, and that is where we are going to end this session today.
Oh, wow. Good job, everybody.
I would like to thank, first of all, I would like to thank my players. I thank you for being here with me today. Obviously, this is a bit of a strange episode because we're down a person. A bunch of us are sick. I'm sick right now. But for all that, I think that you all did a fantastic job.
It's the winter solstice.
It's a winter solstice.
Thank you. I think you did a great job. This was so fun.
I hope that everyone had fun. I would also like to thank all of the viewers that are here on this non-standard stream day. Don't worry. We will be back to streaming on Mondays come January.
Whoop, whoop.
So be ready, 7:30 Mondays.
There will be
PM.
2 more of us
Central Standard Time
on the screen.
Yes, we will be back to 5. Also, keep an eye out on the 30th of this month. We should be having a kind of get-together stream. It will not be the main campaign, but we're just going to get together, have some fun, have some holiday cheer.
I'm thinking maybe a talk show of sorts about the show so far and whatnot. Maybe we'll see.
I'm seeing Drew raise his hand.
Now, DM, in private, at one point, you had mentioned the possibility of a possible level up.
Well, I was
after
getting
this
to that,
episode.
Drew. I was getting to that.
Okay.
Drew's never done.
Last time
the end of the stream
we
list.
forgot, so I just wanted to make sure in case
I
it
have
was going to be a thing.
things to cover. I'll just get to it now then. Yes, you guys will level up to level 3 at this point in time.
Yo.
Whoa!
Yes. We can actually do the rolling right now for health, assuming that you guys aren't going to be multi-classing at this level.
I will not be.
Can't
please roll your hit die.
I was playing at it.
You can re-roll a 1 once.
Okay.
Doo-doo. Doo-doo.
The moment you said that, I rolled a 1.
And
Nice.
you can re-roll that 1. You can re-roll that 1 just one time. Though. If you roll a 1 a second time, it's just meant to be,
That's too bad.
I'll start with Drew because it appears that he's got it. What did you roll and what's your new max health?
I rolled a 2,
Ooh.
which means that my max health is now a 23.
Fantastic. And don't forget to add your Constitution modifier to this. I know that you remembered, Drew. I just want to add that. Grant, how we looking?
We're looking good. So I rolled a 6, which
Nice.
means my new max health should be 26.
Nice.
Fantastic. And then last but not least, Jar Jar playing Medora. What did you roll? What's your new health?
We got good. I rolled a 7, so now I'm up to 20.
Nice.
It's better than nothing.
Let's go.
Also, as a fun little thing, going forward, now that you guys are level 3, we will be changing how we do level ups.
Ooh.
In the following episodes, at the end of the episode, I will be asking you guys whether or not you think that this episode conquered enough and achieved enough that you guys will get a level up.
Ooh.
It will be up to you.
Oh.
So much
Ooh.
pressure.
If there is a tie or a disagreement to the point where we can't settle on something, it will be left to me. Also, if this goes badly and I think that it's just not going well, then we'll stop doing it. But for now, this is what we're going to be running off of. Just want to try it. I
love
trust
it.
you guys to make good decisions. So that'll be changed as we go. I have a couple other things. Check out the Patreon. I've been updating it weekly with a DM notes, just a quick little snippet that kind of gives a picture of the notes that I used for the episodes, as well as what was going through my head, and a little bit of extra world building about the sectors and kind of what all goes on in them, who's who and what's what. So keep an eye on that. I will be trying to add more to the Patreon as we go. Also, shout out to our Kickstarters, our backers. You all are incredible. We could not do it without you. Keep an eye on your emails. I'm doing my best to get that stuff out there. I want to make sure that I'm talking to the Mythic backers, especially because they need to do some world building and stuff with me. I will be reaching out to you as soon as I can. I wish that I had an exact date, but I don't have one right now. Things have been pretty stressful.
Probably early January.
Yeah,
We'll
early
hit you up
January,
after the
sometime in
holidays.
January, almost for sure. I couldn't imagine that we wouldn't do it in January. I don't think that I have any other more notes that I need to talk about. So the only thing that I have left to say is the same thing that I say every time that we stream. Good luck and Godspeed, Dungeoneers. We will see you next time. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye. Goodbye.